This is Justin AMZN on Tuesday, March 27, 2018. Take a look at the pre-market this morning, and it looked like it was going to be a small gap up into this area of somewhat no man's land where we're looking at the hourly, the 4-hourly, I don't recall which one it was, saying that, I think it was the hourly, that another time when we had a recent inverted head and shoulders like this with a neckline, that it just bounced, and then the next day it just kind of chopped around up in pretty much a tight range compared to what it had been doing, and then aftermarket that day plummeted and then bounced. And so I wanted to walk through what I was looking for. So I was just expecting it to be kind of a non-event sort of day. So opened up with a bearish candle, which is a good one to have after you've had this much buying, and then a gap up. It's a retest gap, so it's retesting, pulling back a little bit. That's fine. And then we have a bullish engulfing candle, and this is really close to our price up here at 1578. And I thought, okay, it's just going to come up here and tag it, and then it's going to bounce around in the space, and then it comes right back down to the middle, and then back down to the bottom of this candle. It's like, okay, if you kind of squish these together, it's let's see, the highs here were 1575.05 and 1575.50. So you actually got a little higher on the bearish candle, and then a little higher than this low on the next bearish candle, and then a small candle inside that 5 minute, and then a break bullish. It's like, oh, okay, maybe it's going to go up and tag it this time. All right, I got a little bit of a squeeze forming, some higher volume, and it's like, well, after this kind of a move, I was not expecting to have this thing just rally and go, but it looks like, because the volume, somebody, a few people are looking for that. Come up, out, and kind of pause here. Okay, that's all right. We can pause right here. That's our, some of our pre-market levels in this space, and the high of that bearish candle, and it's okay to pause here. That's not a problem. And then it pulls back again. It's like, well, what is going on here? It's like, okay, maybe it's going to be forming a little bit larger triangle, and it's just going to go sideways a little more. And then we get this candle, which is similar to this one, similar lows, not exact. It's like, okay, maybe it's going to bounce again. It's just kind of choppy. So I wasn't expecting much. Then you get a little bit of a bounce, not as much as this one was, a little bit, but it's bearish. And then you have a bullish engulfing, but these are both, wicks on both ends. It's like, okay, well, I don't really like it breaking down here because it's just going to come right back into these lows and maybe bounce. I don't really like it going, breaking out here because it's got these highs right here. It's kind of like, okay, that's right in the middle. So I'm not going to trade that, even if it goes bullish and comes up to this line. That's maybe a little more than an R. That's not enough. It's not enough for me to risk it. Then you have this one, which I think had really similar highs. 15, yeah, so about 21 cents off the highs from each other. So a little bit higher. It's like, okay, well, now if it breaks up, then you're trapping some folks who are looking for it to roll over right here. Your volume just totally dropped. I don't even know which way your momentum is going on your squeeze. So, I mean, anything goes, really. And then you get another small, inside day candle, and then a break. It's like, okay, we had 20 minutes within this tight range, but it's right in the middle of these larger candles. It's like, okay, no, I'm not going for it. So you get up here, it's like, okay, probably going to continue, probably going to break into new high in the day, and just continue up, and then it does it. It just pulls back again. It's like, what is going on? And then it does this similar pattern to this, where it's got some small candles within this range. So you're bouncing back and forth between 1565, 1570, 72, something like that, all within this pre-market range. It's like, okay, I wasn't expecting much out of today. Was just expecting this kind of chop all day. You're not getting an edge, okay, so don't expect to trade any of this, because you're, again, still right here back in the middle. It's like you could have grabbed this as a little bit of a rollover, sold from the highs here, I suppose, But with that line so close, it just didn't seem reasonable to have a stop, too close here. And the options I was looking at were around the 1550. I thought about going down to like the 1540, but if I had bought a put here, I would have wanted to stop up here, and that's just too far. That's around $5 on the stock, which the option I'd have to have a delta of 20 cents, and it's just you have to go even further away, I think, than the 1540. So there's a little bit of a lower low from here to here, a lower high from here to here, a relative high here and here. You got this low, relative low, a little bit of a higher low. It's like, okay, maybe now you've got a little, tighter. I don't even want to call it a triangle yet. It's like, okay, you got this level down here, 1563 is the area. Then the levels up here around 1574. So you're just bouncing within these $11. Still, you got a great squeeze forming if it could just pick a direction. Another inside candle. And then you got, looking at this now, you've got a wick here, lower wick here, and a lower wick here. It's like, okay, here's another move. Now you're a little bit above these wicks, but okay, this isn't too far. If I have a stop here, maybe a stop here if I really want to be aggressive, trigger here, I could get to that line with a 2R. That looks more reasonable to do that. What happens? Another small candle. It's like, okay, now you're definitely trapping people who are trying to go bearish and just want this thing to roll over and die. You had somewhat of an evening star reversal here. You got two bearish candles here that then break lower, and you're just looking for it to continue to break lower. So yeah, if you break below these two candles, these buying wicks, you're going to go lower. If you break above these, you probably run up into this level. So what happens is you start to break out. Okay, great. We're breaking out. We're going. I'm not crazy about that candle. It's kind of bearish. It's got a lot of buying to it. Your volume increased. Okay, we got people going bullish. You got the momentum swinging bullish, but we're right back into the level here that we just wanted to push through. So it's like, okay, it has to push through that level. It has to. It's just, it's a given. Come on, right? It's going to get up there. And what happens was it pauses a little more. It's just going sideways. So we got about 20 minutes here going sideways. Excuse me. And now I'm looking at this thinking, excuse me, I'm looking at this thinking, if this breaks bullish, it's just going to go here. That's nothing. If it breaks bearish, if it breaks bearish, well, now I like that we're consolidating at a resistance on the day, and it's a great place for it to break down. So I started looking at the options. I was looking again at, I think, the 1550, maybe 1540. It's like, okay, this could work. And I think it was in here, the low had been around $7 on that option. I think I'll have to look back at what option it was for sure when we're checking out the options a little bit. And the stop up here, I wasn't quite sure what that was going to do. If I had my stop here, it's like, okay, if I get stopped out, it touches that, then rolls over, I can get in again. So I'm trying to remember. I think the option actually came down to around $6, and I had been looking to get in. I was checking out the prices. I could get in at 8 with a stop at 7 back in here, but then it broke below that 7 to do this on the put because the put value went down. It went all the way down to a low of 6 on one of these candles here, and it's like, okay, by the time it actually gets back down to this level, the option's going to be back, $5 closer. So your option's going to be above 7. I can't do this for a $100 R. This is one of those cases that I should have done it because you get a little bit of a push higher out of this, and that was the last little bit before it started to just kind of roll over. So you got this consolidation here. You're expecting it to continue. You've got a very small candle with dropping volume. You've lost your bullish momentum. Your squeeze has fired as you lose your bullish momentum. And now you're taking out the low. It's like, okay, well, it could, here's the breakout, here's the retest, and it could go, right? So it's still thinking bullish, but there's not as much room. And you got the bearish momentum now, or the waning bullish momentum, and now we're breaking a little lower. Now we're coming back into this consolidation. It's like, okay, it's just going to keep doing this. It's going to come back down in here, and then it goes a little lower, and it actually takes out the low of the day. And so looking back at this point, it's like, oh man, look at this. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 times I could have shorted at this level of the the pre-market levels here. I mean, especially up here, these candles, the high here, 1575.65, 1575.95. Yeah, definitely could have gotten in below any of these candles, taken this lower. Had I been thinking bearish on this, it's like I was, but only for this range. Now we're below that range on much higher, like huge volume, much higher, just like the opening half hour, or much larger volume. It's breaking lower. What's going to happen? Is it going to continue? It continues, and it throws in this buying candle, or lower wick, still bearish, but a lot more buying. And it looks like we just came down and retested the previous day's closing price. It's like, okay, that's a nice little move. Then we'll get back to just the chopping that we talked about yesterday. Come back up a little bit, throw a couple of big candles just sideways, and this one very indecisive. On this candle, you want it to continue higher and run back up, just like it ran down and came back down to yesterday's level. So, you've got, I'm still thinking, okay, we're going to move a little bit higher on this. You had the signal here to, first thing is you had the similar highs all through here. You broke lower, trapping anybody who went bullish here. Took out the low of the day here. Now you're consolidating at your new low of the day, and you've got this bearish momentum. The squeeze already fired, but fired the wrong way, and you just have this great pattern here that's just a consolidation. You could draw it from the high of this candle down, and the low from here up, and just a tight range again. Within the $5, like some of these candles. This one's between 1560, 1565, and it gets really, really tight in here and then starts to go. And just kind of rolls over a little bit off of the 5 exponential moving average, staying this entire time under the 21, and just starts to roll. It's like, okay, well, now we're coming back into this level again, but we're bearish. And very bearish. Within 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, we broke from 1560 down to 1540, like in a flash. Like, that did not take long at all. We had, some area here that was close to that. This candle actually bounced off of that level. This candle, not really looking like it's going to bounce, but it does. And it's like, okay, maybe that's solid. Maybe we're going to move higher. Then you come right back into it, like no questions asked. All it is a trap. It's a bull trap that people were looking for it to bounce there, and just comes right back down and breaks lower, retest from below, and then rolls over again. And now this time we come down to our 1528 price. It's like, whoa, we just went from 1570s, broke bearish over 4 candles, consolidated, broke bearish again over like almost half an hour, really far down to 1540. Had I gotten into a 1540 option, that would have been in the money, and then they really start to explode. The value goes just sky high. So now, after this retest in the level here, now where it's like, okay, we're contending with some of the levels we had before. We were chopping around these previous day. Here, 1528, we could bounce here. Let's see what happens. And bounce back up right into this level. So this is kind of like the short-term retest here. Here's a little bit of a long, I don't even mean short-term. I mean, here's the quick retest. Here's the, meandering, but still a day trade sort of retest. And then we just roll back down from there. And now this high is 1541.63, 1541.78, so 15 cents off of the highs at a previous resistance, new support that breaks, now becomes resistance again. And then we break much large volume, huge move. Within 5 minutes, we moved 14 points, $14 on Amazon. And here I'm thinking, okay, we overshot this. We're right back now into the 1522 price we've been talking about as support here, support here, support here. You know, this is what launched us higher into this move that we're retesting. Okay, we just came down. It's a really quick retest. Now we're going to probably get a bounce. It'll come back into a double bottom and go. And so that's what I was looking at. That's what it started to do. Bounced, came back down, and then we're inside of the range of this candle, and I'm like, okay, this is the place to bounce. This is it. Like, this was your last place that you had a great move bullish. You know, people who are buying, who bought here, are going to buy again here, and some of them probably were. And then it comes right back down here. All this time, we're really far away from the 21. Even a move from here up into the 21, 1535, 36, somewhere in this range. Great, that's a huge move, you know, on maybe the 1540 call expiring this week. And we don't get it. It breaks bearish again. And then quickly comes into our 1514 price and pushes through it. So now it's like, okay, we did this before. We pushed lower, just like this one. We pushed lower, came back up quickly. We pushed lower, we'll come back up quickly. I mean, it already is with that wick. And then it doesn't. It just melts down and then screams down in the 1500. Doesn't even stop, doesn't even pause like it did for here, here, and here, and retesting. All it does is scream right on through it. And it's like, whoa, this is really low. The low here was 1486.50. It's like all this time I was thinking we're going to bounce. We're going to bounce at any of these 4 levels in here. And we got some small bounces, not right off the lines, coming up to the lines or just kind of straddling it and then rolling over. So here we are. It is 2:30. We're near the end of the day, and we actually push lower. We put a low in of 1482.32, and I'll just push you off. There you go, right to the end of the day. All of this from this consolidation at a known, at a morning resistance level. We didn't even get into the next 1578 line, but on the day, you know, we had some action up here at this price. This is 1576. We came right into that 1576 price. Let's see, it was 1576. 3 cents off it right here. I mean, whoever bought here, if they had shorted here, or if they were shorting here, I mean, the way it moved was phenomenal. Bearish move, consolidation. Bearish move, retest. 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 I mean, the whole day. All he had to do is pick one of those, retest or consolidation, or gotten in on any of these, you know, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 places to go bearish. Way up here, near known resistance that we didn't even get to. With a stop that was conservative up here, would have been aggressive here, and it would have worked. Maybe you would have thought through here, okay, we're going to pause a little bit. We're going to bounce at this level. But we'd already taken out the pre-market low. We had taken out the day low, the morning low, and the place that we got to on this day was just crazy. So anywhere that, you know, we're looking for some support to actually play out, any of these lines didn't work. And what we ended up doing, yesterday was an amazing day, the way that we bounced like this. Today we chopped and we rolled over. This is a bearish engulfing candle of the previous day's incredibly bullish quick bounce. Now we're even more bearish than that day. It's phenomenal to see how this actually played out. If we take a look over at the options, this is the call. I didn't look at that one. I want to look at the put. So I had been looking at 1540. No, it wasn't the 1540. It must have been the 1550. Because I didn't think we were going to go down that far. Yeah, it was 1550. Oops. Let's zoom back out. Show you this range. Okay, looking at these two screens, this is, you know, if you had been looking any place in here, you know, the lows around 7, around 7, and then we do this move. So any of these, had you bought at 7, would have been able to flip it out pretty quickly, you know, 9, 8, 9, 10, something like that. This last one probably wouldn't have worked too well, and then it pulled back through. And in here, this option was worth $6. Maybe you didn't buy it 6. Maybe you bought it 650 with a stop at 550. If you're just going to go something aggressive, or if you're going to wait to say, you know, maybe this candle, I think it was at 11:15. The high on this candle was 744 with a stop down at, you know, maybe a little below 6, maybe at 550. So you're pretty close to $200 risk. You are currently at this price. About $24 away from being at the strike, and that's, you know, decent, especially when expiration is on Thursday, not Friday, so you got a day shorter than normal. So the 1540 or 1550 was far enough away, but close enough that it's like, okay, this is the previous day's range and some of the stuff. We can make that, you know, and this was the chop. So looking over here in the hourly, this was the chop that we saw. And it just screamed lower. Larger move than we've had the last couple of days. Bearish, obviously. And if you had just bought a put anywhere up here, I mean, had I bought it $6, $8, even $10, to stop at like $8. So larger risk than I normally do. That's a $200 risk buying at 100 or buying at 1,000. Let's see, what was it? Somewhere back here. If you had just held on to that all day, which I'm not even saying there's a reason to, because we just kept bouncing a little bit or retesting at these levels, these known levels, maybe you would have gotten out, or maybe you would have tried to stop a little too tight. But I mean, most everything worked. This is the only place that had some sort of, you know, move down in the option that could have taken out, you know, a stop had you had a stop so tight in this area. Let's see, in this area, these candles, that this little move up that didn't even get to the 21, maybe it would have been stopped out. I don't know. But after that, everything just continued moving up, except for maybe that candle. I don't know why that candle was putting a bearish candle, but maybe it was this one. What is this? 140. This candle is at 140 also. So maybe it was somebody here getting out. But even that price is $26.20. I mean, it more than doubled after that. Phenomenal. Just, this was an incredible bearish day. And I botched this up because, let me zoom out on this chart. This is the chart I was looking at saying, hey, you know, we should have a day similar to this. This is what I was anticipating. Having a day similar to this day back on, what was that? March 6th. So yeah, we've got our inverted head and shoulders. We've got our retest here. We've got a bigger retest here. You know, we should have, after that bullish day like this from here up, I thought that was this day, here to here. And I expected to just consolidate for a day, not much action, roll over after hours and bounce. Instead, we still consolidated, then we rolled over during the day, and I missed all of that bearish move. Look at this, it didn't even come back up here and touch the 1578 price, not even at all. And so, if I switch back over to this 4 hour, I thought this was interesting to see. So these triangles that got drawn in here, we had this one drawn in, there's actually two here. It broke below this, retested, rolled over, and then it retested. if you kind of visually extend this line out a little further, I mean, we actually retested into the range, not only into the range, we retested towards the high of the range and then rolled over again. So this 4-hour triangle is absolutely at play because of this lower high, lower high, lower high. And to see that on a daily, zoomed out on a 4-hour, it's kind of easier to see that. On a daily, it's kind of like, oh, well, you know, we've done these things before. If you squish these candles together, you have a bearish engulfing here. We didn't have anywhere near the range here. We had the range here. We had a small pullback here. We had a 5-day pullback here, a small bounce, rollover, retest, and a day that just moved bearish. Bearish engulfing. Almost takes out, I mean, we took out the low, but didn't quite trigger a bearish move based on being below that candle, if that was a trade you had. I don't know how else to walk through what happened here. So we're just bearish. We should have been bearish, you know, with this consolidation here, running, bouncing, bearish again here, running, bouncing. Seems like we should be bearish again. We're right near some of our lines. If we look at the slow grind here, looks like we're bouncing at the 1482. We're back up around 1510 or so, and it's just really interesting to see how much we're going to bounce. Now, if we take a step back and see, let's see if I can show this quickly. Hourly here. No, it doesn't really show what I want to show, but you know what you can see is we've got these, you know, lower high, lower high, lower high. We have a low, somewhat of a relative low here. This could chop again. It could go back, bouncing back and forth. If we, oops, I'm going to go to 4 hour. Was that on 4 hour? Wait, I thought it was an hour. Okay, now we're back at 4 hour. Anyway, to see this, you know, extend this line, we're going to be right touching these wicks, roll over from there. And, you know, we bounced from this level here. We bounced and rallied. We could bounce right here and rally again. If we continue to break down, it seems like it's worth just slowing things down and or taking some quick trades so that you're not just waiting for something to happen. If I had gotten in on any of these levels in here with my stop, may have been stopped out for a small risk, but if you have a larger account, you can absorb some of that, some of the bid-ask spread on these. In some of these cases where I was looking to, you know, buy what I thought was a good point to buy, I used some, just looking at the option, seeing the spread was more than, I think more than $50. It's like, okay, you're just going to give up a big chunk of your risk to how much volatility is in the market or in this option right now. And so I'll be looking for some more moves in the next couple days going into a holiday weekend, that there may be some more selling. We're going to have to take some quick moves with options to get things to work. But if you go back and watch the previous day's video, I talked about this consolidation up here just lasting all day, and then this bearish sort of move happening after hours. It just happened a lot earlier than I thought, and with the wrong timing, you have the wrong setup. So we'll continue to look at the way that the stock moved today and other days, and I can just see these waves here. It looks like we're just going down when the water drop, come down like a waterfall, just, you know, bouncing over rocks, branch, whatever it is, that you're just flowing bearish, you know, just rolled over, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. Sorry if that sound made in the recording. I'm traveling, and that is a water system. Sorry about that. That was just about it for the video. So continue to look for these consolidations, look for these areas that don't get into these levels, and or the ones that do, and respect them, and then we will just continue to see what we can figure out on Amazon. Thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is Just Amazon.